Good.
It's not so cold.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya
Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So as anyone watching will know, we're in Sanatan Shiksha, that portion of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Sanatana Goswami in the science of Krishna consciousness. Sanatan Shiksha, one of the super nectarian parts of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The whole thing is nectar saturated, but this is especially tasteful. Very practical. There are parts where Mahaprabhu is describing the Vishnu Tattva. It gets a little technical, including the positions of the conch, club, lotus, disc, as they rotate around the 24 different types of you get Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and then you get 3 expansions of each of those. And they all have different permutations of Shankha, Padma, Chakra, and Gada, which is this club, conch, lotus. And so Mahaprabhu is listing those to Sanatana Goswami. So that's a kind of a technical part. But the rest is philosophical, but it's philosophy that is not only theoretical, but it's very practically applicable as well. Sanatana Shiksha gets a little more in-depth than Rupa Shiksha, which is in chapter 19. And Sanatana Shiksha runs for 5 chapters at the tail end of Madhya Lila. So we're in the second 22, 24, we're in the 3rd chapter of Sanatana Shiksha, known as the process of devotional service. In other words, sadhana bhakti. Translated by Prabhupada as the process of devotional service. So sadhana bhakti is also known as abhideya tattva, because as you know, there is sambandha, abhideya, and prayojan. And sambandha is the theory, the conception of the jiva soul's connection with, is there a problem?
Yeah, 1 second.
The jiva soul's connection with the Supreme. Connection between the jiva and Bhagavan is known as Sambandha Gyan. A realization of that conception puts an end to all kinds of the hypnotism of the world. Is kind of ruined when one has an understanding that the real constitutional position of every conscious entity is in a relationship, loving relationship with God. And how can you really put yourself back into illusion when you've come to that realization? But that's theoretical. And when you come to a level of faith, strength too, to say, all right, I have faith in this concept, now I'm going to apply it in my life. That is known as abhideya, when you put it into practice. Abhideya and sadhana are somewhat synonymous. So, the Sanatana Shiksha, this chapter is about abhideya. It's about the sadhana process. So it's very practical. And what was given by Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami and to Rupa Goswami in chapter 19, a couple of chapters back, was then taken by them and it was extrapolated and elaborated upon in their literatures, chiefly the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and the Hari Bhakti Vilas and Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So the literature of the Goswamis are given here in a somewhat condensed fashion by Mahaprabhu. Their source is, of course, Mahaprabhu, and then is further fleshed out, expanded at a later date by the Goswamis. But today, of course, is a special day because it is the disappearance day of His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada. And the disappearance day, so it's the Tithi anniversary of his disappearance day, which is, from memory, 14th of November 1977. That's when Srila Prabhupada passed away. And the location was Vrindavan. Sri Vrindavan Dham, Krishna Balaram Mandir. And that is where Prabhupada's form is residing. They have a samadhi there in Vrindavan at Krishna Balaram temple. So very nice samadhis, carved in marble. We've all been there, right? And then there's a larger Pushpa samadhi in Mayapur, which used to be the big building in Mayapur. Now it's not so big next to the big one. But anyway, so the disappearance day of an acharya, a spiritual luminary, is known as the Tirobhav Titi, when they disappear. Avirbhav is known as the appearance, and Tirobhav is the disappearance. But both are considered auspicious. I mean, we can understand the logic of an appearance day being auspicious, but a disappearance day, it seems a little paradoxical that a disappearance day can be auspicious. Seems contradictory, but not so, because the laws of the spiritual world do not obey, for instance, Newton's laws of physics or any other material law that governs this domain. So the same rules don't apply, which means that even a disappearance is auspicious. When Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj disappeared, Gurudev tells that he went before the deities in Navadvip, Guru Garanga, Radha, Govinda Sundarji, and he saw them as being very happy, dancing and joyful. Their Sargato had returned. So if Krishna is happy, and we're devotees of Krishna, then we should also be somewhat happy. Even though, of course, it's a bittersweet day, particularly if one has a personal relationship with the spiritual figure who has departed. It's a bittersweet day, but we must be happy for them if they've returned to the Nitya Leela. It is said that when the Vaishnavas depart, at the time of departure, they spread their merciful glance around. There's one final dispensation of mercy. There's one release, extra generous distribution of mercy, and that can be capitalized on this day, the anniversary of such a day. This is Guru Maharaj's, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj's expression. They cast their glance wide as they depart, giving the mercy, giving the substance of their life to whoever is eager to accept that. So there is opportunity to be had on these days. Just like there are names of power, there are also days that hold special power. And otherwise, why do we celebrate these anniversary days? Unless there's some power there, unless some benefit there. So the idea is that when there's a fortune to be made, then you put in extra work hours to capitalize on that fortunate time period, right? Extra time or something, whatever. So, if you're getting paid more, then you work a little more. You put in the extra hours because you're getting time and a half or double time or whatever. So on days which are dear to the Lord, Harivasa, such as Ekadasi, then a little bit of extra effort is put in to capitalize on the extra reward available. And same when the Lord's dear devotees return to Him, those days are also dear to Him, so there's extra reward available. Not that we view it as a business transaction, but this is the reality of the situation, that these days are days of power that offer extra benefit, so it's worth capitalizing on if one's goal is the cultivation of bhakti. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada's glories are known around the world. He performed a yeoman unprecedented service, fulfilled the prediction of Nityananda Prabhu, which was previously, even by devotees in the line of Mahaprabhu, thought to be hyperbole by many. That, it's positive thinking, but it may not actually materialize. Nityananda, this prediction is given in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is one of the two principal biographies of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, there are about 8 biographies of Lord Chaitanya, 8 or so. Some of them are questionable in terms of their authenticity. Some of them may be interpolated. But the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Chaitanya Bhagavat have been considered thoroughly authentic by our previous acharyas. Siddhanta Saraswati published in the Gaudiya Math 3 biographies, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Chaitanya Mangal by Lochan Das Thakur. And he left the others unpublished. There are others that, like the source material for Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc., came from a lot of, and Chaitanya Bhagavat, a lot of it came from Murari Gupta's notes, known as Kadacha diary. And of course, Swarup Damodar Goswami's Kadacha, which was memorized by Raghunath Das Goswami and spoken orally to Krishnadas Kaviraj and put down in writing in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is said it's by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not Chaitanya Bhagavat. It says, iti kichu, what is it? Sarvatra prachara hoy be moranam. That's the second line, I forget the first. But anyway, Sarvatra prachara hoy be moranam. My name will be chanted all around the, preached, prachara, sarvatra, all around the world. My name will be chanted. Nagaradi Gram. Come on, someone help me, the first 2 words. Sanktam Nagaradi Gram, sarvatra prachara hoy be moranam. It'll come to me straight afterwards, right? As it does. Priti Vityachi Yata Nagaradi Gram, Sarvatra Prachara Haibi Moranam. Priti Vityachi Atayacha Nagaradi Gram, Sarvatra Prachara Haibi Moranam. So that's spoken by Mahaprabhu and it's recorded by Vrindavan Das Thakur and Chaitanya Bhagavat. It's a prediction saying that my name will be chanted, Pritiviti Achiyata Nagaradi Gram. And all that Nagar is a town and Gram is a village, all the towns and villages. Pritiviti, the earth, Priti means all around the earth, and all the towns and villages around this earth. Sarvatra, the whole place, Pracharam, preaching, Haibe Moranam, my name will be chanted and sung in all the towns and villages around the globe. And so, 500 years went by and nothing was really happening. It was still contained pretty much inside the state of Bengal and India. Half a millennium later, and, no, it hadn't gone. But then, of course, who do we have come along? Sridhar Thakur Bhakti Vinod. And he conceived of making this prediction, conceived of making it a reality. His vision was to make it a reality. And of course, very quickly, the desire of the Shuddha Bhakta must come true. Very quickly it came true. His, technically great-grand disciple. Because we have from Thakur Bhakti Vinod Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, Siddhanta Saraswati, and then Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Very quickly, within a few years, it had happened. Within, Thakur Bhakti Vinod is conceiving this in, let's say, the 1870s, 1880s. And then, within 90, 100 years, it had been fulfilled. Of course, that mission was taken up with gusto by his son, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Dedicated his full energy to it. You could even say, broke with tradition in order to fulfill this holy, I was going to say crusade, but that's got connotations. Campaign. Broke with tradition, caused controversy, put his own life in danger. And then, of course, we see Srila Prabhupada made a formidable sacrifice in his elderly age, close to 70, 69. Happy in Vrindavan, living in the Radha Damodar temple. What more could a Gaudiya Vaishnav sannyasi want? A room adjacent, we've been there and seen this room, Srila Prabhupada's room at Radha Damodar, right adjoining the temple, the place of Jiva Goswami. And our mutt, of course, is right next door there, pretty much adjoining Radha Damodar temple. So, our mutt is also where the preparations for this explosive fulfillment of Mahaprabhu's prediction was taking place, interestingly. And the place of Krishnadas Kaviraj is just across the road, which also belongs to the mutt. Anyway, so Prabhupada is there. I mean, that is a hunky-dory situation, isn't it? You can't ask for a more of a comfortable, happy living situation for an elderly Vaishnava sannyasi. And yet Prabhupada couldn't settle. Why? Because his spiritual master asked him to preach in English. Because his spiritual master's own father had dreamed of doing this, had started preaching in English, had started writing, trying to repackage Mahaprabhu's teachings for the Western audience. So there was this burning desire in Prabhupada. He couldn't rest. This burning urge to serve and please his spiritual master. So, but of course we can see that this urge is two-pronged. It is the Vaishnav is known as very merciful. What's the term? Dukkha dukhi. Very sad for the sadness of others. Sorry?
Sukha dukkha dukhi.
Sukha dukkha dukhi.
Something like that.
Sukha dukkha dukhi.
Their misery is the suffering of others.
But sukha means happiness. So that doesn't make sense. So, but it's close.
That's something like that. That's what I said.
Para dukkha dukhi is what it is.
Paradikhi.
Yeah. So, others' misery is their own.
Yeah.
So they're driven by compassion. So when we see when Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, he is driven, Guru Maharaj says, he is driven by two forces. One is the external reason out of compassion for those that cannot appreciate him. This is given in chapter, whatever it is, of the Adi Leela chapter 17 of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, covers Mahaprabhu's sannyas. And it says that the students we know Mahaprabhu's there in the prelude to his sannyas. He's sitting there and he's saying, Gopi, Gopi. He's sitting there in an ecstatic state of Mahabhav. Gopi, 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 Gopi. And this one student comes along and he's like, and goes up to Mahaprabhu and goes, what are you doing? Chant Krishna. Come on, chant. What is this Gopi? I mean, Gopi means like a milkmaid. Mahaprabhu is Gopi, Gopi. And the student is like, chant Hare Krishna, come on. Krishna is the worshipful Lord. Chant Krishna. If you're going to get into a tizzy state, chanting something, go for Krishna. And Mahaprabhu is like, what? And he picks up a stick and he starts chasing the student. He's gonna wallop him. And the student's like running for his life. And Mahaprabhu's chasing him. And he sprints into this big class, not a classroom, but an assembly of students, like hundreds. It actually says 1,000 students. So it's a big assembly. This guy comes sprinting in. Mahaprabhu said with a stick, he's going to belt him. Then Mahaprabhu goes back to where he is, to where he was. And the student tells all the other students, this guy is crazy, this Nimai Pandit. He's crazy. He's there going, Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. And then when I tried to correct him, he went to insult me and beat me up with a stick. And all the students were like, yeah, this guy's been going a bit off kilter for a while now. We're going to really have to do something about him. And so they were conspiring, the student body of Navadvip, what you might call what are the student bodies at university? The student unions, are they? Like the student union conspiring to punish one of its members or something. Maybe the the medieval Indian equivalent of that. But so they are conspiring to oust Mahaprabhu, to ostracize him, to punish him, even to physically assault him. And so Mahaprabhu, and this is recorded in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Mahaprabhu says, like, what was designed to be the cure, the medicine, is now causing sickness. So in other words, they're rejecting his preaching. He's trying to give out Krishna and bhakti, and instead it's causing an allergic reaction in this student community. And so he says, I need to change my ashram. And by the change of ashram, by adopting sannyas, then they will give respect to the form of the sannyas. And as a result of that, they will then appreciate my message. That's Mahaprabhu's logic. And we can see that later on it worked. When Mahaprabhu returned to Kulia, to the place now where the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mad is known as Aparad Banjanarapat, all of the offences of the student body were forgiven. They all came to meet him and they paid their respects and they surrendered to him. Along with the other famous Aparadis, Devananda Pandit and Gopal Chapal. So that later took place, a couple of years later, four or so years later, after Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. But Guru Maharaj says when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, that is a prelude incident, he was driven by that desire to rescue those that are suffering. Of course, if there's people that are offending, rejecting Mahaprabhu, then they're not heading towards a happy destination. They're not doing themselves any favors. So there's that external reason. And of course it's changing his vase, changing his official social position in order to have his message appreciated, as just mentioned. And I remember reading an interesting point in this regard, that when communicating, there is 3 considerations in terms of how the audience are going to accept what a person says. And most of you think, well, you know, the impact that a message, a communication is going to have on the recipients. Most people think, oh, it's the content, right? If someone says something very intelligent, very logical, everyone's going to be, yeah, wow, great, I like that. It's going to have an impact on them. But that's not the most important in a person's appreciation of a communication and how the audience will receive it, digest it. It's who says it. It's not what is being said, but it's who says it. That's the prime determinant of a communication's impact on someone. Who says it? So, if a sannyasi says it, especially back then in medieval India, then it has a powerful effect. But if just a student says it, a grihasta, people may dismiss it. It could be exactly the same thing. So the prime determinant is who says it. How is that person viewed in the eyes of the audience? Not what is being said, but who says it. The second is how they say it, how they couch it. And the third is the content, what they say. So, of course, that matches Mahaprabhu's reason for external reason for taking sannyas. Because who is saying it will change. It's no longer Nimai Pandit. Now it's Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyway, so that's the external reason. To have his audience take up Krishna consciousness, to spread, to preach Krishna consciousness. He made the sacrifice of taking sannyas. Left his wife, Vishnupriya, left his mother, both very dear to him, took sannyas. And Guru Maharaj says, there was an internal reason too. He was driven by the spirit, the fiery spirit of Srimati Radharani's Mahabhav. Driven by the heat of that. That's why he didn't feel the cold of the Ganges as he swam across at 4 a.m. on his way to Katwa. So the point here is that Mahaprabhu is driven by an external reason, compassion, the preaching, and by an internal reason as well. So we can see this reflected in the sacrifices made by great devotees. Prabhupada is driven by a desire, an internal desire to please his spiritual master. And he's driven by a more, could say, external desire, or a generic desire of a devotee to relieve the suffering of the conditioned souls, those in the West. So there's an internal and there's an external drive fueling Prabhupada to give up his also comfortable situation in the Holy Dham. Travel west. Travel to New York. Travel to, of all places, New York in the 1960s. And attempt to transplant the bhakti teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, we're familiar with the history, the struggles of the first year or so of Srila Prabhupada in the economic, less salubrious areas of New York. Previously, there were ambassadors of faith from India that had gone to the United States. Famously, Vivekananda was the first. Actually, there was one, was it before? No, it was later than Vivekananda. I was reading. Mahamanmata Brahmachari, actually. He was a follower of, kind of in the line of Mahaprabhu, but certainly not in the line of Saraswati Thakur. It was a little later, in the 1950s or something, I think he went.
We were speaking yesterday about Paramahamsa Yogananda as well, because he came to Boston Harbour sing.
We're getting to there.
Jump the gun.
It's coming right up. So there's Vivekananda, 18, World Parliament of Religions. And then the next famous one, of course, is Yogananda. In the 1930s he spent a while in the States. I think he passed away early 50s. And then, of course, we have Srila Prabhupada arriving in 1965 to the United States. And you're right, yes, Yogananda went into Boston as well. And in New York, struggling for a year, really struggling, and to the point of contemplating returning to India. But slowly gaining some traction before that point arrived, and being supported, unlike Vivekananda and Yogananda beforehand, who tended to mix and find an audience in the middle and upper classes of American society. Srila Prabhupada's audience was in the counterculture. They may have been from middle-class families, but they were not living like the typical children of middle-class families as they did in previous generations. They tended to abandon those values, and they were living in somewhat deprived areas. Jai Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. So it was a very grassroots organization, sprouting up from the Bowery of New York's Lower East Side, and then, of course, exploding and growing, spreading like rapid fire around the world in the space of a few years. And like a tornado of preaching and growth. And then, quickly, boom, Prabhupada is called back by Krishna quite quickly. I remember my mother saying that my parents were initiated in maybe 1974. And so Prabhupada passed away in late 1977. And I remember them saying, like in 1977, the word in ISKCON was that Prabhupada was going to live to 100. That's what they all believed. Prabhupada is living to 100. And as disciples, of course, you like to think that your guru is going to live forever. But okay, if not forever, you have to be real. Like 100, why not? Prabhupada was like 80 years old or so. And he was in good health, very energetic. But then his health seemed to deteriorate very quickly. There's a series of quite catastrophic health events, and Prabhupada went from being quite full of vitality and active to bedridden quite quickly. But even on his deathbed during his final Leela, he was still preaching, still dictating. So somewhat indefatigable in his seva and his service. Still giving advice, even though his body was decrepit, racked with pain. Organs failing. Barely speak, but still preaching. And then, of course, he passes away in Vrindavan on November the 14th. But everyone that has come into contact with Krishna consciousness as a result of Prabhupada's preaching, or come to Krishna consciousness in the West, is as a result of Prabhupada's preaching. So we all have an amount of gratitude, regardless of what our allegiance is in terms of mission or guru lineage. Every white-bodied person, or not white-bodied, that's it. Every Western person, including Anu Krishna, has a certain modicum of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for making that sacrifice. And for if it wasn't for his extraordinary service, sacrifice, then how would have not only Mahaprabhu's prediction come true, but how would have the Western world ever been exposed to the teachings of Mahaprabhu? And really, Prabhupada was the man for the job. No one operates in isolation. There's Srila Prabhupada's guru, there's our Guru Varga. Srila Prabhupada, before he came west, had a great relationship with Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. He says in his own words that he prepared me to preach in the West. He prepared me. So, but still, the fighting, so to speak, the action on the battlefield was the service of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. So everyone, now and into the future, has an amount of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for sacrificing, for making that sacrifice, giving the gift of bhakti. Of course, receiving a gift is one thing and capitalizing on that gift is another. Sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, we're so fortunate. We're just us devotees. We're so fortunate." I'm like, "All right, calm down." It's like saying, "Oh, we've won the lotto." And in a sense, maybe that's true. But you've got to cash that ticket. There's no use winning the lotto if you don't cash the ticket. So you can sit around all day fantasizing and congratulating yourself on your good fortune. But unless you cash that ticket, right, the good fortune won't manifest. It will always stay in the realms of, "I'm so fortunate." But, lifetime after lifetime, you're fortunate. Yes, but come on, you're not supposed to be doing it lifetime after lifetime. You're supposed to be escaping from this cycle. Anyway, so Prabhupada put the ball, at least to play, the ball needs to come into your court. So Prabhupada put the proverbial ball into our courts. So at least we can play, at least we have a chance. So everyone is grateful to Prabhupada. Now, when Srila Prabhupada came west, all his disciples were very new. None of them were conversant in Sanskrit. What happens is traditionally when someone becomes a guru, their disciples compose a pranam mantra for them, which glorifies them, generically and specifically. If they have any unique qualities and attributes, then the pranam mantra touches on those illumines those. And pranam mantras generally should do four things. They should address the Nam, Rup, Gun, Lila, which is the name, the form, the attributes, and the activities. Nam, Rup, Gun, Lila. Those four need to be covered. Those four bases need to be covered in case you're planning on composing any pranam mantras in the future.
You never know.
Anyway, Prabhupada's disciples, they were not qualified to do this. They didn't come from backgrounds. They didn't even realize that you need to do a pranam mantra, right? They were struggling with what is called the four rags. What to speak of composing pranam mantras. So Prabhupada had to sort of give them pointers. All right, do this, 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 So some of them learned some basic Sanskrit and they cobbled together a pranam mantra. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Very simple. Very basic. But actually wholly inadequate considering Prabhupada's glories and position.
I thought that Srila Prabhupada himself had composed it.
Yeah, it's quite likely.
Because they weren't able.
Yeah, he said, put this, and this together. And perhaps someone like his early Sanskrit disciples, like Achyutananda or Pradumna or someone, they possibly cobbled it together. But yeah, Prabhupada would have had to give the gist of it. I mean, they had no idea. And we can't blame them. They came from a culture which didn't give them any prep. So, but still, a very basic, like hardly the ABCs of a pranam mantra, very basic stuff. And then later on, Namaste Saraswati Devam Gaudavani Pracharine Niveshesha Sunyavani Paschatyaresha Tarine. So, later, our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, realized that those pranam mantras didn't properly honor Srila Prabhupada. They didn't express adequately the depth and the breadth of Prabhupada's glories. So he composed another one, which is more fitting and better covers the unique person who is Srila Prabhupada and the unique contribution to Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement that Prabhupada made, the unique service that he delivered. And so that pranam mantra is Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Swami Shri Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupadaya Te Namaha Gurvagya Shirasi Dritva Shaktavesha Surupine Hare Krishna Ti Mantrena Paschatya Prachyatarine Vishvacharya Prabharyaya Divya Karunya Murtaye Srimad Bhagavad Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayine Gaura Shri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishivine Radha Krishna Padambo Ja Bringaya Gurave Namaha. Very beautiful pranam mantra. Very beautiful. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. I offer my obeisances to he who is very dear to Krishna. Swami Shri Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupadaya Te Namaha, whose name is Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Guruvagya Sharasi Dritva, taking his guru's instructions on his head. Shaktavesha Swarupine, he is an empowered Swarup, he embodies spiritual empowerment. Well, he was empowered to fulfill his guru's instructions. Shaktavesha Swarupine. Hare Krishna, and how did that manifest? Hare Krishna Te Mantrena Paschatya Prachyatarine. He preached by preaching Krishna consciousness, spreading the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all around the world. Vishvacharya Prabharyaya Divya Karunya. Vishvacharya, he is the guru of the whole world. Vishva, guru of the universe, you say. Vishvacharya, like Jagat Guru, synonymous. Vishvacharya Prabharyaya Divya Karunya Murtaye. He is the murti, the embodiment of divine mercy, Divya Karunya. Srimad Bhagavad Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayine. And he is tasting the nectar, tasting and spreading the nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Gaura Shri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishivine. He is immersed in the Siddhanta of Saraswati Thakur, the philosophical conclusions of Saraswati Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha Krishna Padamboja Bringaya Gurave Namaha. And he is like a Bringaya, a bumblebee, tasting the nectar at the lotus feet of Radha Govinda. I have no obeisance to Santa Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. So that pranam mantra is composed by Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. Very beautiful pranam mantra. I like to try and get my ISKCON friends to chant it, and most of them do. Most of them do, because they can't deny it, can they? They can't deny it. Yeah, take the medicine. Jai Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Tirobhav Maha Mahotsavatiti Ki Jai. So we'll continue with Sanatana Shiksha tomorrow. A little interlude to glorify Srila Prabhupada. And of course reveal truth, which we read from every day, which is Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Swami Maharaj Gurudev's words. But we'll finish there for now. It's 20 past 8. Are there any comments or suggestions, questions?
How do we capitalise and cash in on our good fortune and security in this lifetime?
How do we do that? Well, first of all,
what does it look like in the reality we're in, right here, right now?
be at the temple. Of course, it requires a certain element of sincerity. You have to be sincere. You have to want it, essentially. That's really how simple it is. If you want some complex answer, you won't get it because it's not complex. The theory is simple. The application is simple too, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its challenges. It can be challenging. But with sincerity, Gurudev liked to say that sincerity is the steel of the devotee. The steel means the strength, the integrity, the ability to face those challenges and successfully overcome your tests, obstacles, challenges. Sincerity. Rupa Goswami says in the third verse of Upadeshamrita, Utsahan nishtaya dharya tat tat kama pravartanat sangatyaga satovriti shadbir bhaktir prasiddhiti. These things will boost your bhakti. They will spur you along on the devotional path. What are those 6 things? Utsahan. What does that mean? Enthusiasm. Optimism. You be optimistic, be enthusiastic. Understand that there's a goal worth aspiring for, and be excited about it. Utsahan. Excitement, optimism, enthusiasm. Nishchaya. Focus. Nishchaya means a steady focus. Don't be wavered. So, in other words, be excited, be focused. Dharyat, have conviction and endurance. Be excited, be focused, have endurance. Tat tat karma pravartanat. Follow the advices given by people who have trod the same path previously, previous acharyas. Follow in their footsteps. Tat tat karma pravartanat. Follow what they did, their actions, karma. Follow what they did, what they advise. Sangha tyagat. Give up the association of those people that are not on the same path, that have other ideologies, other ambitions in life. That's going to detract from your own progress. And associate with those that are following the path. So there's a prohibition and an advice. So associate with those that can help you, and avoid the company of those that cannot offer anything to you spiritually. So that's some practical advice from Rupa Goswami. To make all of it work, you must have a desire to make it work. And that desire needs to be sincere. And then everything will come into place. From that internal honesty, sincerity, honesty, you have to really want it, then a light will be showing on the path. The path won't be dark. Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam upajanti te. Krishna says that he shines a light. Buddhi yoga gives the intelligence by which people can arrive at the destination. So if you begin with sincerity, then the next step is illuminated, progressively illuminated along the path. And that's why you can have confidence, nishchaya, confidence, and dharya, focus, confidence, enthusiasm. All of these things you can legitimately have them. Not legitimately, but you're entitled to have them because the path is illumined as you progress. You can be confident of it with sincerity. And that sincerity will eventually coalesce into what? It'll develop and grow, mature into what's called lolyam, hankering. The desire for progress becomes more intense, condensed. Lolyam. Tatra lolyam apimulyam ekalam koti janma sukrite nalapyate. No amount of sukriti can give it, but tatra lolyam, hankering. Tatra lolyam apimulyam ekalam only. Only by hankering can you get it. Mulyam, ekamulyam. Tatra lolyam apimulyam. Purchase it wherever you can find it. How does the verse go? Krishna bhakti rasa babita matahi kriyatam yadikutopi labhyate tatra lolyam apimulyam ekalam koti janma sukriti analabhyate. Lolyam, hankering for it. So that's some basic guidelines for how to cash your ticket. Never forget to cash your ticket. The express train. Hop on the express train. The Vrindavan Express. Actually, when Guru Maharaj was talking, it's like talking to the Westerners, and they're saying, they're talking about the express train back to the destination. They're like, the Vrindavan Express. And Guru Maharaj is like, yes, but express trains, they still stop at the major stations. And he goes, the Navadweep Special. That's the real express, the Navadweep Special. Like a special train, doesn't stop anywhere. Just goes from origin to destination without stopping. The Navadweep Special. So jump on the Navadweep Special. Tat tat karma pravartanat, all the instructions given. Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita. Guru Maharaj's words, Gurudev's words, Guru Maharaj's words. There's no dearth of advices and information. All right, Jai Gurudev, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga, Hari Hari Bo. Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. Madhusudana. Hari Hari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Jai Saparikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhari Ji Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Charja Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Guru Dev Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sri Dhare Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Tirobhav Maha Mahotsava Tithi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Samaveda Vaishnav Mandala Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanandi Hari Hari.